So today's going to be a different experiment. I'm going to try 3 different ways of leading and backing casts. They're going to be high pressure negative reinforcement, low pressure negative reinforcement, and then least pressure positive reinforcement. So Cass actually knows 3 different ways to back up or to be asked to back up. The first one he knew before I got him, which was being poked in the chest and saying back up and walking towards him. The second one I taught him after about a year of owning him, where you stand in front of them and shake the lead rope back and forth, and they back up like that. And then the third one, which is backing up with just a cue and a verbal signal, that one I taught him, I think 2 years ago now with positive reinforcement. And I just want to look at his body language whenever he tries each of those different approaches. It's not a perfect science, of course, but we can at least look at his eyes, his ears, his tail, and see if he's telling us anything about how he feels. I'm also going to be doing this both in the barn and out in the field. I know I'm putting a lot of variables in there, but I just think it'd make it more interesting to be a more secluded environment and then an environment with more distractions. I've been teaching Cass about mat training and not Bowie, but Bowie does this now every time that he sees it because he thinks he's going to get a treat. Bowie, I haven't worked on that with you yet. You're too cute. So here is low pressure and negative reinforcement. So I just wanted to pop in here and point out a few things that I'm noticing in these clips. The first one is whenever, right there when he feels the pressure on the lead rope, his head goes up and it never goes quite back down to where it was when he started. In this next clip, you're going to see him doing something interesting with his mouth. Whenever he feels backwards pressure or is stressed, he does that. I'll talk about that more later. Then also his eyes and ears and mouth or tense, which are not things that you really want to see whenever you're trying to teach something to a horse. So here is high pressure negative reinforcement. Popping in here again to point out a couple of things. Right here you can see his tail swish. There weren't many flies or anything around, so I think it was annoyance. And here's the big part, the mouth thing. Basically, he moves his mouth and chomps like that whenever he's stressed out. I think it's like an old response from whenever he was a racehorse and had a really harsh bit in his mouth at all times, always being pulled on. So now whenever he feels pressure or he's pushed too hard, he does that. So I think that's a pretty good tell for whenever he's in a situation that's just a little bit too much for him. Here we have least pressure and positive reinforcement. So here, Cass's head is low, his ears are forward, his eyes are bright and interested. I think he looks really cute. And here you can see how low his head is, how loose his body is, how forward his ears are, just very relaxed. And then here he's actually backing up with his ears forward. You can go back and look at all the other footage and see that the only time that he backs up with his ears forward is whenever he's being asked with positive reinforcement. I'm back a little later in the day with my hair up and more horse knot on my shirt than before. I just wanted to clarify a couple things, specifically the chomping motion that Cass will do. I'm gonna include a video here of whenever Cass was in his racing days. It's a video of him after he just won a race. And he's doing the exact same cross-jawed chewing behavior. You know, he could just be chewing on his bit. It seems reasonable. But the fact that he did that in that kind of stressful situation, it seems reasonable to me that it would carry over to whenever he's in another stressful situation these days. In this case, feeling a lot of pressure to do something or being pushed too hard. I also wanted to say that the way that I trained with negative reinforcement, that's not how I train now, but that's how I was taught to work with horses, to ride them. It's what a lot of people are taught. I mean, I remember being a kid and them saying, you know, like, kick him, it's not gonna hurt him, or yank his mouth, he's not listening to you. And, you know, just seeing how Cass reacts to this small bit of pressure after given the ability to make a choice, you know, it makes it seem very unnecessary. It was a long road for me to get here. It took me unlearning a lot of what I knew when I was a kid. I had to accept that some of the things that I thought were for sure true were wrong, or at least not the best. It's hard to admit because in the past, it means accepting that you weren't doing the best that you could be. Hey Bowie, just knocked over a bucket. They want to get fed. But yeah, it's a long process. I don't blame anybody for taking a long time to get there or struggling to make changes into your horse's life. It's definitely not easy, but the rewards are completely worth it. I hope everybody had a good time. I hope Cass will forgive me for yanking on his face a little bit. I think he does, as long as I feed him. Cool.